Yo, what's good, everybody? Welcome back to Bain Break It Down Forex. It's your boy Big Bain in this thing. You guys guessed it. Another week, another opportunity for us to make some money in the Forex market. So let's get right to it. All right. Boom. Over on the dollar, guys. It is ready to drop. Actually, before we really get too heavy into the dollar, we have a lot of economic news for the dollar this week, starting on Tuesday. All right. 10 a.m. we get it popping with job openings. All right. And then on Wednesday, we're going to have, it looks like, GDP and non-farm payroll. All right. So Tuesday is going to crank up. Wednesday is going to, make it crank even more. We also have the federal funds rate. All right. So we're going to make that decision on interest rates at that time, which is really going to move the markets as well as the stock market. So look out for that. All right. Thursday, we also have PCE and unemployment. All right. On that day, and wrapping it up on Friday with, again, non-farm employment change, unemployment, and PMI. So a very, very eventful week in terms of economic news for the dollar. So expect a lot of volatility and a lot of movement for your trades to pretty much, play out. All right. So with that being said, guys, expect the dollar to rock and roll. Now, where it is right now from the supply area, I do believe that it will drop. But because we have a bit of imbalance to the top side and we never really got a full retest to the area that we broke out of that rising channel, we may still get that. So watch out for the rise, because again, we did get a change of character here from this mini, down movement that we have. We started breaking highs and going higher. So we can continue that in the beginning of the week, especially on Monday, as there won't be any economic news for that day. So we can see the dollar still potentially pull up to these areas before dropping. But once we get into these supply areas, guys, expect a major drop on the dollar, especially if we're talking Tuesday or any day past that. All right. So overall, bearish on the dollar, but just be careful of a deeper pullback of it rising and pulling up before we get that drop. All right. So bearish on the dollar. Over to JPY. Well, this is bullish. Not really evaluating this normally, but just know that if you're trading any of the JPY pairs, you want to be looking for your sell opportunity. So I'm talking XXX JPY, right? So AUD JPY, Euro JPY, CAD JPY, CHF JPY, Pound JPY, UJ, right? The whole list goes on, you guys know. All right, but JPY is looking bullish. So again, look for those opportunities to sell your non-JPY base pairs. All right, moving over to AUD dollar. All right, my team sold this again because the dollar started to rise and we're up 43 pips, but we're kind of curling around, all right, to kind of go and head back up, right, which is a possibility. But I'm still expecting the AUD dollar to drop to this level of demand before it rises. All right, guys. So again, look for that drop initially first, and then for the rise. So bearish temporarily on AUD dollar, and then I'm looking for it to rise, as I am expecting the dollar to have a major drop. All right. So bearish, but then overall bullish on AUD dollar. All right. Euro dollar, I'm bullish on it, right? My team bought it from the low off this double bottom. We made over 163 pips. All right, guys. And now we are still at these equal higher lows, where I believe we will continue to rise as the dollar falls. So I'm bullish on Euro dollar. All right, over to Pound dollar, same exact thing. We're at a level of demand. I'm bullish on Pound dollar. New Zealand dollar, again, needed to drop a little bit to this demand area after we had this change of character to the upside. So again, this could be engineered liquidity. We'll drop, take that out, and then finally tap into demand, giving us, mitigation before we actually begin to rise. This is a very nice risk to reward, 29 pips for 154. I am bullish on New Zealand dollar. All right, over to dollar CAD, guys. We sold it off the rising channel, and we made 130 pips to the downside. And then we could have taken this buy all the way back up for another 130 pips, but we have our break, right? Making our new low, and now we pull back to that same supply area where we initially made our 130 pips. So we're right back at it, guys, just like, a time machine, if you will, all right, where we have the same risk to reward of almost a 1 to 5, about to get 116 pips for just a 28 pip stop loss. I am bearish on dollar CAD, all right? Moving over to dollar CHF. Again, I gave you guys this play last week in my weekly watch list for the head and shoulders that it had, and it absolutely played out exactly as I told you. 101 Dalmatians, all right, but pips, 101 pips on that play. We've now gotten our pullback to the supply area, so we can look at it more like this now, all right? And with that, we have a nice bearish engulfing candle from that supply area, which is exactly what you want to see when you're looking for a sell opportunity, all right? So on dollar CHF, guys, I'm bearish, all right? And we're looking to make 86 or 84 pips to this level or this swing low, but it could very well go way lower than that, guys, all right? But a 1 to almost 3 on dollar CHF, all right, bearish. Over to dollar JPY, bearish as well, all right? Looking for price to rise into supply and then drop for over 522 pips, all right? So again, I mentioned on the JPY index that it is giving us bullish structure on that. So when the JPY rises, pairs like dollar JPY will tend to fall. So peep game, JPY is bullish, dollar is bearish, and now we're trading the dollar JPY pair, which is, we have everything that we need to know already. Dollar's weak, yen is strong. If the yen is strong, it's going to push the dollar down in this pair. So you want to be looking for that sell opportunity. This will be a major play once it goes and potentially pushes higher, right? Because of the imbalance that sits here, right? So we may want to have the position a little deeper like that, and you're getting away with just about a 50 pip stop, right above that for 544 pips to the downside. Don't blink, guys, all right? UJ is the play, all right? Bearish on that. Over to pound odd, all right? I'm bullish, all right? And we did get in profit for a little bit from demand, but now it looks like it's just trying to do a sweep of liquidity before rising. So, be on the lookout for a slight drop before we begin to take off to the upside on pound odd. I'm bullish, all right? Over to pound CAD. This is a very, very nice setup, guys. Again, we had a new high created. We begin to pull back all the way back down to this demand level. You guys can see that we are holding very nicely, and now we just got a nice bullish candle from demand, showing us that the bulls have shown up and the sweep is potentially over with. So I expect pound CAD to just literally take off as soon as market opens today and get us, anywhere over 200 to 400 pips, all right? So pound CAD, you really want to get in for that buy opportunity, all right? Bullish on it, all right? Pound CHF, looks like, we just broke this low. So potentially we're going to go and make the new low before we start pulling back to this level of supply and get our drop, all right? So just wait for this to develop a little bit more before you make any type of play. But if it just so happens to shoot into the supply area during market open, then you guys definitely want to look for your sell opportunity. Watch for the sweep of the equal highs, and then from there, again, just kind of cover yourself, right, for that. So probably getting in like this is a lot better of a position, right? You get almost a 1 to 5. That's 160 pips on the take profit with just a 36 pip stop loss, all right? So pound CHF, very nice for a potential drop, all right? Over to pound JPY, and again, my team sold it. So again, just JPY going strong. A lot of the non JPY base pairs will potentially fall, all right? So looking to just see JPY tap into these demand areas for the fall and hit our take profit. So for now, even though there's a lot of choppiness, we're still bearish on GJ. All right, over to pound New Zealand, and yeah, I mean, it's breaking past this demand level, so I definitely want to see how price reacts at this level. But because we broke the high, we made the new high, all of this was just too much to deal with in terms of knowing if the pullback was over with or not. But now we're seeing that price is getting back to a key demand area, and we definitely want to look to buy low as prices fell significantly last week. All right, so bullish on pound New Zealand from the demand area up to liquidity, guys. All right, let's just see what that looks like. Okay, we're talking about 63 pips on your stop loss, about 426 pips to the upside. All right, so again, big opportunity on pound New Zealand. All right, on oil. All right, we are bullish on oil, but I do feel like we have potential of getting a sweep of these equal lows right here, and then also the swing low to the left. So oil may push down to sweep that before rising, and if it does, you just want to make sure that your stop loss is out of the way of that potential or that probability, if you will. All right, and then from there, I expect oil to shoot up over $12 move, which is 1,200 pips on oil. All right, so bullish on oil. All right, over to silver. All right, silver has a lot of liquidity sitting to the downside. So right now we see a lot of volatility where it's pushed to the downside. So we may continue dropping to sweep that liquidity. All right, again, sell side liquidity, but we may also just bounce from the demand area. So that's going to be a very tough situation to see what silver is going to do. But ultimately, all you have to do is wait. If you see price get into demand, it starts giving you wicks and rejecting the level, and then the bulls show up, you can safely take that buy with a stop here and try to catch it to the swing high. But if we get to demand and you're not seeing any bulls show up, probability or the chances are price may want to go and do the sweep, right, of liquidity, right, and just kind of bounce from any one of these areas here, right, before rising up. All right, so be very, very careful with silver because it is a bit mixy at the moment. But if I had to choose, I would say bullish, as the dollar is looking to drop once again with this bearish market structure. All right, so bullish on silver. All right, over to gold, same thing, right? We had a nice drop on gold throughout the end of the week, Thursday, Friday. But now we're at this major demand level from where we had a break of structure, and the bulls have shown up. So I expect gold to rise, which correlates with the dollar falling. So gold is looking for like a great opportunity right now, right out the gate on Sunday. Don't go, don't take it right away, but like wait a little bit until the evening, and then you'll have your opportunity to buy gold. This is a $102 move on gold. That's over 1,000 pips. All right, guys, you can get paid on this gold play. Take advantage. Bullish on gold. All right, over to natural gas. We had a nice break of the high, made the new high, consolidated, started our pullback to the key area, and now we're consolidating again. So once again, another potential correlation where when the dollar drops, natural gas will rise, right? Going to break above this high. So I will go and say that most likely outcome on natural gas will be bullish. All right, so bullish on natural gas. All right, moving over to SPY, and we got to really get into the nitty gritty. All right, here on the lower time frame to see that we have a break of the high. We made the new high. We have our rising channel. We broke out of it, giving us a change of character, and now we're sitting in that supply zone. So it's more, identifiable and structured from this 5-minute time frame, right? Very clean structure. So I want to take my chances on selling SPY, even though the dollar looks like it's going to fall, right? That correlation doesn't match, right? When the dollar falls, typically SPY will rise. But it's not all about correlation, guys. Market structure is king. So go by that whenever you have any discrepancies in correlation, all right? But from the supply area, right, we may push up a little bit, take out this potential high before dropping. Either way, we have a very nice selling opportunity on SPY this week. So try to take advantage, all right? Bearish on SPY. To NAS, all right? NAS is a little mixed, broke the high, made the new high, and we pull back to that demand area. So from there, guys, we are starting to rise, and it can continue to rise, breaking above these highs, which this will line up with the dollar falling, right? And having NAS rise. But at the same time, guys, you know what I mean? Be careful because, we could also have prices kind of pushed down a little bit, filling any of this imbalance before doing a rise. But for now, with how things are set up, I will have to go bullish on NAS, all right? Last but not least, guys, US 30. And looking at this from, let's say, the 15-minute, okay, we can see that we just had a break of this downtrend line, all right? And we did also just break this particular high, giving us a change of character to the upside, right? So what's expected is price to pull back to a key area, right? Probably this demand, potentially this demand, or the trend line, and then start to rise, right? But what you can also see is that we're at a major supply zone. All right, now this supply hasn't really broken any previous lows, so it's not a strong supply, but it is still a supply nonetheless, from having a lot of bearish pressure from this area to push price down pretty significantly, right? So you may be able to sell it and catch it back down to the trend line, maybe the liquidity area, and possibly further, right? But just know, as we get that pullback, right, until we break below these, we're still bullish. So it may begin to reverse and rise on you from that standpoint, all right? So just, be careful or mindful of that. It also can just continue to rise from where it is at the moment, all right? So there you have it, ladies and gentlemen, all right? Please make sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and tell a friend to come on in, all right? Forexwithbain.com. That's how you can get at me. Click on the link for the Discord, and, let's get jiggy with it, all right? But in the meantime, in between time, y'all know what it is. It's your boy. Peace.
Want to get money? Want to get paid? That's Forex. Like a sensei, then you know you got to come and swing my way. And if you want to fast forward here, replay.